This is a tutorial on how to use macros with Excel Goalseek. The example that I am taking is Planck's law for spectral radiance of a black body. This function is as shown. I have evaluated this function for various wavelengths. The temperature is fixed at 6000 Kelvin. The plot of the spectral radiance versus the wavelength in nanometers is plotted as shown on the screen. The input variable can be wavelength or temperature while the other is held fixed. In this case, we are going to choose the wavelength as the x or the input variable. From the plot, it can be seen that there are two different values for the input of wavelength for the same spectral radiance. So we will set up this information in Excel. The cell L2 will be the wavelength guess. I am going with 400 nanometer. The cell L3 will contain the formula. As you can see, I have already input the formula. The cell L4 will contain the target value. I have chosen 2 into 10 raised to 13. The cell L5 will contain the error, which is nothing but L4 minus L3. Before using Goalseek, we need to set up the macro recording. Macro recording is an easy way to record repetitive tasks in VBA code without knowing much about programming. You have to go to the developer menu. In some cases, the developer menu is not activated. For that, go to File menu, then go to Options, then go to Customize ribbon. On the right hand side in the main tabs, check the developer. This should enable the developer menu. From the developer menu, click Record Macro to start the macro recording. Select the default or rename the macro. Now all the actions that were being taken in Excel will automatically be recorded. So we need to start Goalseek. Go to Data, What If Analysis, click Goalseek. In the Set Cell text box, select the cell with the formula. In this case, it is cell L5. The error cell contains a valid formula, therefore it can be used. Then type in the value in the to-value text box. Enter 0 as the expected value of error will always be 0. This is a significant advantage in any calculation as the output of the program is fixed and we do not have to edit the program every time the target value changed for the function depending on the user's requirement. In the By Changing Cell text box, select the variable to be changed. This will be cell L2. Then press OK. Goalseek will find a value which is a solution. Accept the solution and the macro is recorded. We do not want to record any more actions, so go to Developer and click Stop Recording. We want the macro to be easy to use, so we will construct one button and set it up such that the macro activates on button click. So go to Developer, go to Insert, go to Form Control and select the button. Then on the worksheet, drag the mouse to form a rectangle and release the mouse. A dialog box will pop up. We want to select the macro that we have recorded as the one to activate on button click. So from the list box, select that macro and click OK. Now the macro will run on button click. Rename the button if you want. Right click the macro. A context menu will pop up. Click Edit Text, then rename the macro. Now we have to check what has been recorded in the macro to ensure that the macro will not do anything silly or unnecessary actions have not been recorded. For that, right click the macro. A context menu will pop up. Select Assign Macro. A dialog box will pop up. Select your macro from the list box. Then select Edit Macro. This will open up the Visual Basic for Applications editor. You can also go to the editor via the developer menu. Go to the developer menu and click on Visual Basic. The problem with this method is that it will not go to your recorded macro. You will have to navigate yourself. If you are new, it is better to do it the first way. Now we can go to the Visual Basic editor and select the macro that we have recorded and look into the code that was recorded. Pay careful attention to the code lines. We only need the Goalseek code. you can see that one of the code lines contain the keyword Goalseek. This is the line of the code that we are interested in. Delete all other lines as they are not required. So now this is our modified macro just for Goalseek purposes. You can go into the details of the code as well and can easily recognize some of the parameters of the code. For example, range L5 is nothing but the target cell. The goal is nothing but the target value which we set as 0, and the changing cell range L2 is nothing but our x variable. Now we can go back to Excel. I will change the target value to 1E13 and the x value to 300 nanometers. Press the button and the result is available. If I change the target value to 1.7E13, I can get the result within seconds without the cumbersome need to use Goalseek dialog box. The example that is shown is only for one value of x. What if we want to find multiple solutions for the same value of y with different wavelengths or temperature? So first we have to formulate the problem in such a way that it can be used. We have to first define the target value. This we will define in cell E1. I will input 1E13 there. You can also use cell L4 which already has a target value defined. Then define an error in cell D2 as E1 minus C2. Remember to use F4 to make the E1 cell reference absolute so that it does not change during the formula copying. Drag this formula across all the rows of column D to populate the rows. The column D will be the error column which we will use as target. The x variable can be either the temperature or the wavelength. In this example, we will select the temperature, which is column B. Once the problem is defined, we are ready to solve it with Goalseek. Again, we will go to the Visual Basic editor. Go to the recorded macro. You can either use the recorded one or just copy the code to another macro. Here we will edit the same one. In order to modify the macro to use a huge number of cells, we cannot type the cells again and again. That would be counterproductive. So we are going to use a for loop for the same. Just type for I equal to 1 to 100 next I. Then cut the old code and paste it into the for loop between the for and the next as shown. Since we want to modify the code to loop through a number of rows, modify the code in this way. Range D and I. Here the D column contains the target variable and the ampersand is a concatenate operator used to join one string with a number. I is the row number that we want to refer to. Similarly, do the change for the changing cell as well to column B, which contains the x variable. So the code is now modified. Let's now go back to Excel. Check the row numbers that are required to be used. The row numbers in consideration are from 2 to 259. Now go back to the VB editor. Change the for loop so that it starts from 2 and loops till 259. So now we are ready to use the macro. Go back to Excel, press the Goalseek macro button. You can see that the Goalseek is being run for all the cells one by one. Once complete, plot the temperature and the wavelength. we can see the behavior of the trend. This is how you can use Goalseek and macros together and save yourself a lot of time and effort. Let me know in the comments if there are other interesting problems to look at using Goalseek and macros.